Indian textile industry. So before we begin, just a small kind of an request to all. Uh, uh, for the participant, just keep yourself on mute and also camera off. If you want to make any comments or any kind of a questions you have in your mind, please type it in your chat box, or you can ask directly to the to the speaker towards the end of this webinar. Okay. So with this few words, I will just introduce our participants to Indian Textile Journal before I hand it over to Mr. Michael to moderate the session. Let me share my screen with him. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. So for the last 134 years, the Indian Textile Journal has been serving the needs of Indian as well as the Asian textile industry with diligence and determination. Acclaimed as India's leading textile magazine, this publication is an avidly read by decision makers from the industry, from fiber, yarn, technical and non-wovens, textile to spinning, weaving, processing, dyeing and finishing, knitting and garmenting. Textiles editorial content spans the gamut of materials and processes vital to the industry. Indeed, its sustained focus on technology, trade through coverages of new products, processes, and technological breakthroughs has provided invaluable to the industry to the today's competitive environment. More than what's more, the magazine has a robust digital presence. Its website, that is indiantextilejournal.com, is a preferred source of news and information. ITJ enjoys a monthly readership of about 1 lakh through print and online, with 80% of its readers from senior management. The Indian Textile Journal is published by ASAP Info Global Group, and uh, and which is also publishes other magazines like Smart Manufacturing and Enterprises. And we have Construction World as a flagship brand of us, and also Equipment India, Indian Cement Review, and Infrastructure Today. In addition to that, we host multiple conferences and events, such as India Construction Festival, Cement Expo, 3I Expo, Infrastructure Today Conclave, among others. As a part of our annual deliverables, we bring out top 50 textile companies in the month of September every year, featuring the country's top performer in textile and apparel in sector. ITG is the only Indian industrial publication who does this ranking annually. In the month of February, we will have our ITJ's special annual edition 2025 on the theme of the rise of ecology, that is ecology plus technology, highlighting the importance of adopting sustainability and latest manufacturing technologies to increase India's share in the global textile and apparel market. The edition will feature articles and interviews of who's who of the industry. And this edition it will be a collector's edition preferred to by the top decision makers because of its rich editorial content. So with this, we come to the topic of discussion for today, that is Outlook 2025. So after a lull start to FY25, Indian textile and apparel industry has been witnessing a good growth in exports in the last few months. Despite continuing wars and the Red Sea issue, India's textile and apparel exports in October 2024 reported 20% increase compared to October 2023. Even the April to October 2024 numbers showed strong growth compared to the same period in the previous year. Reasons for this are many, such as the restocking by the retailers in the developed markets, China plus one policy, and the recent crisis in Bangladesh, among others. But the question is, will India in FY25 gain again witnessed a strong export similar to FY 2022, a bumper year for the country's exporters. More importantly, is this surge in India's exports sustainable? To find out these answers to these questions and more, we have esteemed industry experts today with us to share their wisdom on the topic. Our guests for today's webinar include Mr. Ashok Juneja, Director Sales and Services, Saurabh Textile Solutions, Mr. Gurudas Aras, Strategic Advisor and Independent Director, Mr. Raja Shanmugam, MD, Warsaw International, and Mr. Umashankar Mahapatra, MD, Pulkra Chemicals India Private Limited. The session will be moderated by Mr. Avinash Maikar, MD, Suvin Advisors. So before I hand over the platform to Mr. Maikar to take this session forward, I would introduce him and as well as our esteemed speakers for today's webinar. Mr. Maikar has more than 3 decades of experience working in consulting firm and various textile companies in India. He has completed many assignments such as business strategies, advisory services, project management, modernization study, etc. He is one of the rare consultants who understands most of the reputed technologies for technical textiles and has been instrumental in promoting technical textiles in India for the last 20 years. So, and then we have Mr. Gurudas Aras, who has retired in March 2021 as a Director Textile Engineering from ATE Group. During his long tenure of 40 years in ATE Group, he has been instrumental in bringing many leading European textile machinery manufacturers to the company's fold in textile and technical textile domain. Mr. Aras is now an independent director on the board of directors of Rosary Biotech, Indian Card Clothing, the Ruby Mills, Unitop Chemical, Tristar Intermediates, among others. Then we have Mr. Ashok Juneja, currently as a director of Solar Textile Solution. He spearheads key account management and strategic sales initiatives across India. He is a seasoned textile industry leader and has over 40 years of expertise in the industry, having worked with Vardhaman and Toyota, excelling in the production, marketing, sales, and after-sales services. He also serves as an honorary advisor to multiple industry associations. He has also rendered his honorary services to the Textile Association India as national president. Then we have Mr. Raja Shanmugam. As a first generation entrepreneur, Mr. Shanmugam established the firm Warsaw International in 1989 as a garment exporting unit, and he oversees the manufacture and export of garments to multiple multinational brands. Additionally, he is a chairman of Alpen Knits India Private Limited, a company involved in the textile machinery business and operates a textile spinning unit in Tirupur. He has also served as the past president of Tirupur Exporters Association from 2016 to 2022. And we have Mr. Umashankar Mahapatra, who is the Managing Director of Pulkra Chemicals India, which is a part of Pulkra Group, Germany. Mr. Mahapatra has got over 24 years of industry experience, during which he has worked with diverse product segments like yarn and thread, denim, technical textile, home textile, and specialty chemical. He has worked in multiple functions like operations, R&D, business development, sustainability, and sales and marketing. So on behalf of Indian Textile Journal, I would like to welcome you all with this. And with this, I would like to request Mr. Maikar to take it forward from here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh Rao. Of course, as you introduce, it is almost 200 years of experience with 5 of us. And that's what is the plus point of this particular seminar. At the same time, we are talking from the yarn to garment. So entire value chain is also there with us. Not only the materials, but also the chemicals are also there with us. So it is a real pleasure for me to be moderator for this particular session. Thanks to ITJ for this particular time which they have selected. So we are on the threshold of crossing 2024 and entering into 2025. And at that time, it is the right approach to see what has happened in 2024, what were challenges which we have faced in 2024, what are the opportunities for us now in 2025, what can be our suggestions to the government through for the budget as well as for various other initiatives for the industry, and then what would be the outlook, which is the basic, the prominent, you can say, logo or the tagline for this particular webinar. uh, Always it is better to start with somebody who is very close and dear to you. So my earlier boss of AT, Mr. Aras, is there. So I will start with him, that what are his feeling. In fact, Mr. Rakesh Rao has also forgotten one more introduction of two of us, that we are also on the editorial board of ITJ for the Textile magazine. So Mr. Aras, we have seen plus minus, we have seen lot many things happening in 2024. So what is your take as far as entire value chain is concerned?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Mr. Maker, and thanks to ITJ for giving me this opportunity to share my views. By the virtue of working in ATE, I had an opportunity to have a 360-degree view of the entire textile value chain, right from fiber to garments. And now, particularly after my retirement, also I'm working with textile companies in India and abroad. So if we look at the year 2024, in a perspective, I would rate it as one of the most challenging years the Indian textile industry had. Now, why it was challenging? Because there are many, many factors. First of all, let's talk about the raw material. As all of you know, the cotton prices, the Indian cotton prices remained at least 10 to 15% higher than the international cotton prices most part of the year. And this has really, really reduced the competitiveness of the entire value chain, right from yarn to fabric to garment. This is number one. Secondly, as all of you know, the QCO had been introduced by the government in October 2023 for fibers, polyester fibers and yarns. Now, the intention of introducing QCO was very, very good, that to allow only compliant and good quality products from abroad. However, in polyester value chain, lot of industry sectors depend a lot on polyester yarn imports, particularly from China, and so to say, mainly the Surat sector. Now, this has really impacted Surat sector very badly because very few could import polyester yarn, and therefore the further value chain got affected. This is number two. Number three, as all of us know very well, that for quite a long time, China was dumping synthetic knitted fabrics in India. And this has virtually broken the backbone of the Indian knitting industry. Only by a few months back, that government came out with a notification declaring the minimum import price of $3.5 per kg for nearly, I think, 16 HS codes under Section 60. Now, this has partly stopped the imports, but the importers and the Chinese suppliers have already found loopholes to import them under some different HS codes. Now, knitting is a very, very important sector in India. And if you see the global market has grown considerably in 2024 for the knitting products. Bangladesh is dominating this market. India had a great chance, but because of this dumping of knitted fabrics in India, our industry virtually had suffered very, very badly. Thirdly, because of the continued wars and conflicts across the world, the logistics costs, the shipping costs have gone up considerably, which has affected our exporters. Now, if you look at the segment wise, I think spinning was really has badly suffered because there was already an overcapacity, according to me, in the industry. So the utilization on an average was about 70 to 75% only. And the fluctuation in cotton prices have affected the yarn prices also. So overall, the yarn market was quite subdued and affected. As far as fabrics is concerned, woven as well as knitted, as I already said, knitted fabric market got affected because of the Chinese imports. As far as exports of fabrics and garments are concerned, first 7 to 8 months there was a negative growth because of various reasons. Only in last 2 to 3 months we are seeing good, exports as far as garments are concerned. But one segment which has done consistently quite well is home textile. I think bed linen and territorial segment has done quite well. Export markets where the Indian players have established themselves, particularly in US and EU, have maintained their market share of more than 50%. So this is one segment which has really given hopes to us. So this is overall, I would say, the picture of the textile industry in India. A lot of small players have closed down because our industry is mainly dominated by MSMEs. And when the financial stress comes, many of the small players prefer to shut down. So many of the units closed down also in this matter of time. So this was overall, my perspective about 2024.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Aras. In fact, I will just take one clue from there. You said home textile did quite well. Maybe is it because that there was less competition from other countries? Because I think we were having more competition from China and Pakistan mainly, and they were also having some issues, especially Pakistan, and that's why we could survive there.
Partly yes, but partly because the Indian suppliers have been working relentlessly for more than last 10 years to build a brand in US market, particularly US, the biggest importer of home textiles. Indian suppliers enjoy more than 60% market share in bed linen and about 45% in terry towels. And one important thing is that these suppliers of home textiles have maintained the cost competitiveness against the competing countries, which unfortunately the garment makers are not able to do. So this is one of the important factors that not only quality, which has helped them to establish the market, but also the cost competitiveness. And now today, if you see, Indians are absolutely dominating US market.
Right.
But partly, yes, what you say is also an important factor.
Yeah, thank you. Always, Mr. Umashankar, when we talk of textiles, chemicals are always talk at the last, fag end of the webinar or seminar. But I am giving you that preference at number 2. I just wanted to know that the way things are happening with chemical industry, the way they have happened in 2024. At the same time, when we are talking of industry sustainability, industry survival, it is better to think more from the point of view of environment. So exactly how things are happening, what has happened in 2024 and how things are going to happen globally as well as within India. Can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, thank you, Avinash. I think Gurdas ji explained it very well, the entire value chain, and we are part of it. So if you see the total value chain of textile, so textile chemicals contribute around, say, anywhere between 5 to 10% of the overall manufacturing cost. So at the retail level, it could be some different number, but the manufacturing point of view, it could be 5 to 10% in the contribution of product cost. So we are an important part of the value chain, although we are coming under a different ministry, and we can talk it later. So it's directly linked to whatever consumption is happening within the country. So if mills are not doing good, textile chemicals are also, will have challenges in terms of capacity utilization and also profitability. So we're not, isolated from that. But one good part is that, like Gurdas ji mentioned about the import of finished fabrics or yarns. Fortunately, in chemical space, we are better off because India is self-reliant on textile chemical. Mostly, the textile processing chemicals, we have almost 100%, in-house in-country manufacturing. Very few articles, like very, very specialty chemicals, functional finishes, few dye stuff. Although we are a net exporter of dyes and pigments, but few specialty dye stuff might be getting imported. So overall, I think textile chemical space, we are much better than our neighboring countries and also competing other countries. So India is having a definite advantage in terms of supply chain of textile chemical. But if you see the demand side of it, some of the sector done really very bad in the recent times, like say denim for a quite some time, almost 2 to 3 years, even starting from the COVID days, even post-COVID, it didn't took off. So capacity utilization of denim segment is very low. Coming to the other parts, like Tirupur is primarily export dominated. So for quite some time, the demand was very low for chemicals in Tirupur area. Other markets like say Ludhiana or Ahmedabad, they had different issue because of the very poor infra on the effluent treatment plant. So a lot of closure happened on and off. You can see a lot of capacity is not getting utilized, not only due to the your order situation, but also due to the ETP related issues. So Ahmedabad for cotton based textile, primarily woven, and Ludhiana for knitted goods, which are primarily synthetic based for either apparel and it could be for blankets kind of thing. So Ludhiana is still, that challenge is continuing, and same is for Ahmedabad. Panipat is, I think, picking up some part of it because it is directly linked to the home textile industry, which is relatively doing better. And also they have picked up one product category, which is the microfilament microfiber bed sheets, which is very new in India. In export market, we have very low contribution. I think as Gurudas was telling, we have very high market share in home textile, but except this product category. So if you say 40% of bed linen in US retail is coming from the Taiwan or China, which is microfiber, they don't call it polyester, they call it microfiber, which is very difficult to even identify at the store level whether it is cotton or polyester. So very finely pitched with a softener finish. So those things are now picking up, and Panipat is taking the lead. So if you see our synthetic segment, Surat is predominantly leading, but this particular category is Panipat is taking the lead. So that is giving a good momentum in synthetic sector. And Surat overall doing much better than other cluster for quite some time. Same challenge we are facing in Calcutta, the eastern part, if you see, because that are primarily for intimate apparel and some other hosiery items. They are also, the export is very nominal. So there also we had a challenge of capacity utilization. A few things which has done relatively well is the natural fiber category like linen and flax, because over the years that capacity has come to India because a lot of imports were happening for linen yarns. Earlier we had hardly one or two manufacturers. Now you can have almost dozens of 100% linen manufacturer in India. So that category is increasing, and also we can see apart from 100% linen, there are blends are also picking up as a category. So consumers are asking for more natural fiber based product. Wool related segments having two kind of challenge. One is the wool is becoming very exotic item in terms of price, and also getting replaced by synthetic. So wool segment is not growing at all across the globe, and India also in very similar path. And Pulcra specifically had a very high dependency on wool, because on 80 to 90% of woolen mills across the globe will be using our fiber finish, our Silvana fiber finish. So I would say it's a mixed kind of situation. Some pockets are doing good. Surat, Tirupur of late, I think last 3-4 months doing really good. So overall, India is much better in terms of chemical space than any other countries, because if I talk about Pulcra, we have 16 affiliates across the globe, and 13 places we have our manufacturing facilities. But the factories here, this side, like say India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Bangladesh, we are doing relatively better. But challenges are really high if you go to Europe or even North America and South America. Turkey is having a another challenge, internal problem, and also external demand side issues. So I think it's a global challenge, but Asian countries are better off in terms of textile chemical space.
Okay, thank you. Just one part which you mentioned is that you are having very good self-reliance as far as India is concerned for chemicals. But what we know is that we textile, all other panelists also are textile manufacturers, but you spoil the environment because we put chemicals into it. So how that particular thing is being taken care by companies like you?
So I think their specialty chemical can play a big role, how we can move towards bio-based products, and how overall chemical consumption itself can be brought down. I think those are the areas, we are also working upon, how the water's intensity can be reduced. Say, suppose cotton textile, you need 100 kg per 100 liters per kg of cotton. Can we really bring it down to 20 liters per kg? So those are the areas we are working on. So how the intensity of resource can be reduced through chemical and also through machineries. I think a lot of developments happening in the machinery space. So it's, I think, collaborative effort. You cannot go, isolate only chemical as a process, because it needs a lot of disruption from the technology side also. For say your digital printing, now digital pigment is coming in place where your overall water consumption is really low. You have now supercritical fluid kind of technology coming. So I think it's everybody needs to be part of it to reduce the environmental footprint. But I think from chemical side, it is more towards resources than per chemical as such. How overall steam and water and energy can be reduced. So
even this material to liquor ratio is also getting
ratio, because your energy consumption will go high.
Right.
So I think we are working on that part.
Okay,
I will
great.
elaborate maybe during the
Sure.
course further. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mahapatra. Juneja ji, I was traveling across India and mainly to spinning mills, and then I found that all of them were crying. So exactly what's happening with the machinery industry, because when the order position is low, of course, nobody will be placing orders for the new machines. So can you just elaborate on 2024, how things have happened as far as machinery manufacturing is concerned in India, as well as you can just give reference to the global scenario as well. Mr. Juneja, please.
Yeah, thank you, Avinash ji. I think you are right when you are traveling, because spinning industry, or you can say we are spinning machinery or total machinery is a complementary of the textile machinery, textile industry. If textile industry is not good, I think textile machinery is the first industry to get the hit, and textile machinery is the last industry to get the revive.
Right.
So at this moment, I think maybe, as Mr. Ars has also mentioned and you also mentioned, spinning industry is maybe not even running 75% of its capacity. So same way, textile machinery is also having in the not good shape or not good taste also, because it is almost running 50% of the capacity somewhere. In India, maybe it can be segment wise also, but particular spinning is very bad shape. You can say spinning industry, and it is very bad shape. We can say just like in weaving or processing, maybe it is in much better than segment. If we analyze segment wise, out of that also, I think segment wise weaving and processing is much better than the spinning. And even garment also not so good, because there is no any greenfield project or something is coming. When there is no order intake or the industry is running 50% or 60%, all these things, I think there are a lot of challenges, because capacity is underutilized, costs are increasing, this raw material cost is increasing. So we can say at this moment, spinning industry or spinning machinery or overall machinery is not in good shape, except maybe processing and the weaving, we can say. So maybe now I think what we are listening that since last 2-3 months, maybe whatsoever the condition, global condition is improving or something, or maybe due to disturbances in Bangladesh, some apparel orders are pouring into India. Definitely, we are in the last of the chain. I think now once this apparel and garment export will increase, spinning will improve, and then definitely spinning will improve.
Yeah. Actually, 2 weeks back, I saw that, most of the mills, especially in the northern part and the central part of India, I saw that the utilization has almost gone and reached to 85 to 90%, but they were not getting the good margins. That's what they were saying.
You are 100% right. I think now capacity utilization of spinning is improving, where once it has gone to 50%, 60%, now you can say 80-85%, and good mill. Corporate mills are even running 85% also.
Right.
Okay, but spinning margins, profit margins are very much thin margin, and which they used to after COVID they have enjoyed or something, or after COVID it was there, but profit margins are very thin. So that is why, and it is now you can say only those who will survive, those who are very competitive. We have seen the mills who are running on the renewable energy. I think they are doing much better than the other who was in the conventional energy.
Yeah.
So it is a game of now who are doing the modernization and who are running on the digitalization or who are doing updating the technology day to day. I think those who are surviving otherwise, but definitely you are right, now utilization is improving for the spinning industry.
So just taking clue from there, you have recently put up spinning machinery manufacturing plant. So how things are happening over there, and what are the challenges from the environmental concern point of view?
No, definitely we have put the major, everybody has put major machinery manufacturer who has started in India. Definitely the target was to reduce the cost of production.
Yeah.
So everywhere, so we have put in this, we are supplying from India now, what's for the spinning machinery there, we are producing Karjan and we are supplying there. But definitely when order intake is less and plant is not running unto 100% utilization, definitely this underutilization and cost and raw material cost is also increased much due to some, and we have the plant in the Germany also, we have all these things, and they have the different challenges, power cost, energy cost, and all these things. They have the different challenges at there, but definitely cost of production has increased due to this all these factors.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Mr. Raja Shanmugam, the last part of the value chain, and of course, he has set a very good example in South by having his own plants, and he is the real, you can say, the person who is on the field and understanding how the value chain is happening. So, Mr. Raja Shanmugam, what are your views on 2024? How things have happened, and what is your take from there?
Good evening to all.
Good evening.
And thanks for ITJ for convening this webinar. And as it has been told by the stalwarts, the 2024 was quite challenging comparatively with the previous years. And somehow in the past few months, we are seeing a ray of hope due to varied reasons. Though it is not so appreciable comparatively of 2022 or so, but it is now actually it is just picking up because last 2 years, because of the geopolitical issues, we have been Tirupur cluster. I am representing Tirupur cluster, particularly the apparel industry cluster. We have been the first victim, I would say, because we are all totally exposed to the Western market and particularly European market. European market did a roller coaster ride the last 2 years because of energy crisis and all those things. But right now it is slowly picking up, and we wish that this should sustain for good. As already Junaid Jaji has had a suspicion that whether the Bangladesh plus one is going to be sustainable for India, as far as my view also, it is not outrightly we cannot claim it because it might be a temporary situation unless and until we gear up ourselves to retain it for future, because we are not equipped ourselves to that till date. This is my feeling, and I request the governments, respective state government and central government, through ITJ's webinar, they have to waken up at this juncture, and they have to come forward with futuristic infrastructure building exercise to hold the labor force, because this is a labor intensive industry. Unless and until we provide a respectable infrastructure to support their living, it cannot be sustained for good. And unfortunately, the irony is also that we are number one cotton producing country in the world, and also equally good in man-made fiber manufacturing capacities. And we are number one having a young workforce in comparison with the community of nations across the globe. These three are the main factors to propel this industry to the greater heights. But it has been thoroughly missed out by our governance, I would say. Uh, Here we have to, the government policymakers also have to wake up to this call, and they have to gear up and support the industry to grab as much as possible the shares of the global market, being an open market situation right now. We have to grab as much as possible as a share in the global market. But unfortunately, we have been defeated by tiny nations like Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia in this segment at least. It has to be reviewed thoroughly, and we have to make ourselves to present our strength to the global market in a combined with a combined understanding and efforts.
Yeah, great. Just tell me one thing, because my understanding, you can correct me, is that the labor efficiency as far as garment industry is concerned, we are struggling at 50%, 60%, whereas Bangladesh, Vietnam, whatever, Cambodia, you said, most of them are 70 plus. So is that the factor which is harping us quite a lot?
Sir, actually, we have to go with the historical records because we are claiming that we are 300 years history we are holding as far as the textile industry is concerned. Bangladesh is 30 or 40 years or 50 years max, and Vietnam is around 3 decades only. But what happened is that when this industry has got introduced to Bangladesh and Vietnam, it was introduced by Koreans and the Chinese.
Yeah.
So with the full format. So, but in India, unfortunately, it has been left out to the players. So the players only is holding this industry to this extent. There is no strategy program devised by the policymakers of this, particularly the textile ministry, or any such manner. It has not been done so far. It has been left out to the players on ground. The players has very limitation to grow this industry because it cannot be unless and until it is a combined effort. It cannot be showcased as a nation's growth. Individual players' growth would be there, but the nation's growth is not being witnessed so far. That is an unfortunate factor to be understood, and it has to be addressed properly.
Yeah, but I remember your speech in Coimbatore when I attended one of the conference. I was also co-speaker with you, and you people, Tirupur has done remarkably well. No help was given by any of the government, neither from the state government nor from the central government. But you people have created that roadmap. You have done all the infrastructure capabilities, and everything was done, designed nicely by you people, and then you have done it through cooperative efforts. Now I think maybe we need to tell government that this is not our work. This work has to be done by the government, the policy makers, and they should do it. In fact, when I have visited China, 2 points on the labor efficiency. When I visited apparel parks in China, I have seen that most of the workers, they were working all the time. Whereas, as you know, in our country, when we visit a factory, we'll come to know that, oh, who has come, how has come, everybody will start looking at each other. So these things don't happen in those countries because their bread and butter is coming from the apparel industry. Second thing is the infrastructure, as you rightly said, it has been created by the government. So first parks are created, and then people come there and they put up their establishment over there for manufacturing. Whereas in India, we have seen that even though there are MIDCs, there are various state industry directed corporations, but nobody keeps up the infrastructure first. They see that whether the industry is coming or not, and accordingly they start doing it. That's why I think we have suffered a lot in Tirupur, in Ludhiana, as far as even the ETPs are concerned. Everybody was aware that these social reforms has to be there. We have to take care of environment, but it has not happened. So as you rightly said, government has to come out with the policies and put up the infrastructure there. And also from the social point of view, the labor quarters and placement for the laborers in various you can say locations, that also needs to be done. Coming to Mr. Aras, that now we have seen that how things have happened in 2024, but we all of us know that in 2024 many things have happened, coming from the logistic point of view, coming from the various wars, various other aspects. So exactly what are the factors which have created some problems for Indian textile industry?
See, there are many factors which are responsible for the situation the Indian industry has to face. First of all, let's talk about the wars or conflicts. I think any kind of conflicts across the world are not good for any business or any industry. Especially the Russia-Ukraine war, because of it, the energy prices have gone up considerably. And Europe is one of the importers of Indian textiles, and because the energy costs have gone up, obviously, and they have gone up multiple times. I was in Europe that time. I was told the energy costs have gone up by 5 to 6 times.
Yeah.
And obviously, when one has to pay electricity bills, the textile is the last priority of purchase. So overall, the consumption of textile have gone down in Europe or EU countries over the last 1 or 2 years, which has also affected because Europe and US together constitute about 75 to 78% of our exports. Same thing happened in US market. US also, the consumption had gone down considerably because the inflation was a little higher. Also, the wars around the world have affected each and every country, business in each and every country. The shipment costs have gone up considerably. There was a shortage of containers, and because of the longer routes, even the shipment days have increased. And the efficiency of Indian manufacturers. The turning around time for Indian goods is always higher. Anticipating that, and also additional days due to the change routes, I think Indian manufacturers could not just comply to the requirements of the foreign buyers. So India has lost some part of the market share to countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam. See, interestingly, Bangladesh, Vietnam, the efficiency of the timely shipment is much higher than India. Unfortunately, in spite of the fact that India has all the raw materials, entire value chain is in India, but we are not able to ship in time. So this is one of the reasons which I saw. Secondly, as I said earlier, the fluctuation in raw material prices. Cotton prices within our country were higher than international prices. So obviously, we lost the cost competitiveness. The end result was our goods, whether it's garments or anything else, have been non-cost competitive. Thirdly, I think one factor which has continued to affect India is the tariff barrier. See, Bangladesh, Vietnam, these are the countries who get tariff zero duty access to EU, whereas India has to pay 18 to 23% of tax, and that has continued. So I think this has also affected because first and foremost, we are not cost competitive in manufacturing. Secondly, this tax differential, I think it has really affected the Indian exports badly. As far as Indian, local market is concerned, I would say it was quite stable and did not do that badly. One more factor is that because of the exports of garments got affected, obviously it had an impact on the value chain on the backside. India is quite strong in yarn. And because India's share in the global yarn export is virtually 25-26%. Now, China reduced in the first part of the 24, China reduced the imports of yarn. And Bangladesh has also reduced. Now, last few months particularly has affected the yarn export to Bangladesh considerably. So this is also one factor which played a role in affecting the Indian manufacturing. I already mentioned about the QCO also.
Yeah.
How it has affected the polyester industry. Thirdly, the majority of the global market is on synthetics, man-made fibers, whereas our products, if you see, are still cotton-centric, and therefore India plays in a very restricted basket of products in the world. Majority of the products where there is high value, India misses completely, because we have problems with man-made fibers availability. The production of man-made fibers in India is also limited, and the prices are higher because there are hardly any players, and they play the prices, and therefore the industry becomes absolutely uncompetitive as far as man-made fibers are concerned. Now, lastly, one factor which has also impacted are the changing regulations or changed regulations as far as the environment is concerned, especially from EU. I think EU has become extremely strict as far as the ecological impact or the emission are concerned, or what we say greenhouse gases affecting the environment. And as all of us know that the carbon border adjustment tax is going to come within next 2 to 3 years, and the manufacturers have to prepare for it. See, majority of the Indian textile manufacturers fall in MSME segment. And for them, the certification cost is exorbitant. Because if you want to be compliant in exporting to US or EU, first of all, you have to have certifications from whichever certifying agency, GOTS or whatever it is. Now, the problem is for bigger players, it might be affordable, but for smaller players, MSMEs, it becomes very difficult to absorb this cost. And it is going to be far more challenging in future. The best example is, I think, the success of Tirupur. As you said earlier, Tirupur Exporters Association has done a wonderful job as far as sustainability is concerned. The entire cluster has passed that, hurdle, and they have become very sustainable. They are the most entire energy is renewable energy. In fact, surplus is supplied to the Tamil Nadu Electricity Board. There are 11 CETP plants. They are prepared for 100% recycling, zero discharge. They have planted, I think, about 2.5 lakh or 3 lakh trees. So overall, if you see, except Tirupur, I don't see any cluster or any industry which is really, ready for accepting this challenge of, environment. And the sustainability development goals, 2030 is the deadline. Our industry doesn't seem still to be prepared. So this is also one of the factors that the buyers, when they are coming to India, they are very particular about all these compliances now. So India is starting to work on this, but I think we miss the bus many of the times because of these things also.
Yeah, great. Mr. Raja, when we talk of garment industry, especially, and then Tirupur as a cluster, do you think that this rough patch can be recovered? Is there any silver lining which you can see through these days which are going to come now?
Sir, as far as my understanding and my experience says that this industry is ever growing industry, because as long as mankind lives on earth, the clothing part is going to be a much dominant factor to hold the market. And fortunately, we are onto it. But unfortunately, as we discussed, a lot of challenges need to be faced, and it has to be individually and collectively has to be faced. So wherever the individual corrections has to happen as an entity level, it has to be done. Wherever the collective corrections has to be happen, it has to be done with the support of the governments. So with this understanding only, we can propel this industry to the greater heights. Because as I told already, that we hold strongly on having a cotton raw material as well as man-made fiber. As Gurudas ji has explained, yes, we are very costly in comparison with other countries as far as man-made fiber related products are concerned. So that is to be revisited by the manufacturers as well as the policy makers, how to make a even field to grow up that market, that segment in our manufacturing activities. So all these things definitely will provide a very good pathway to grow on an accelerated speed in the coming days. And as it has been rightly pointed out by Gurudas ji, that we have to have a cluster. Tirupur has shown itself as a cluster. It has demonstrated the cluster strength to correct the sustainability much in advance before the call has to happen. Because the sustainable call has happened very recently, but Tirupur has geared up on itself through its self-correction long back. So that is now supporting Tirupur cluster very, 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 very big way. And so these kind of things need to be keep in mind. As you rightly quoted, that China do prepare a roadmap for the chosen industry for next 10 years, which is missing, thoroughly missing in India. So we are just addressing the nitty-gritty issues that too raised by the industrialist then and there.
Right.
But Bangladesh, on the other hand, a small, tiny country, right from the army general down the smallest politician, they do have direct interest onto this textile industry. So immediately, as soon as an issue rises up, it is been dosed down by their clear understanding and collective understanding at once, and it has been corrected. But in India, we are not for having a Chinese methodology in place or Bangladesh methodology in place. So here the policy makers are totally disassociated from the industrial activities, and we have to take a strenuous effort to enlighten them now and then to address the nitty-gritty issues. But when the solution is being brought out, it becomes so irrelevant to that because the time has been eaten to such an extent, which has become irrelevant. The solution itself become irrelevant, and thereby we get self-defeated in the competition.
Yeah.
So we have to correct all these things in tandem to grow this industry with this correct understanding. And most importantly, India, like populous nation, has only thriving line to hold this industry for good, because job creation is most important for a factor for
Yeah.
the country like India.
Yeah.
And this is the only promising industry to grow jobs, because in other fields, even agriculture for that matter, if you take that day in, day out, automation is making joblessness to grow only in agriculture segment, because one automation machine comes with 100 harvesters doesn't require. So one machine harvester is good enough to replace 100 human harvesters. So, but in textile industry, because this has been a design-driven industry altogether, automation has its limitation to the periphery. So the manual intervention is obviously warranted. So thereby only this industry is going to grow jobs. And India, like country, has to give such much of importance to grow and sustain this industry and then grow this industry.
Perfect. 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 In fact,
So Maikar, can I add one point?
Please.
Yeah. Because just to support the statement of Sir Raja, see, the biggest point from the industry perspective I see is that every segment of the industry has its own objective and vested interest. We have so many associations working in textile. Spinners have their own objective. Polyester industry has their own objective. Garment industry has their own association, their own objective. So this is like an orchestra, unless and until all these associations are merged and we have one association for the industry, and the nation first objective is kept at heart, then I think nothing is impossible. Here we are fighting amongst ourselves, the one industry wants the prices down, other industry wants the prices higher. Now, as long as these conflicts are concerned, I think we will go nowhere, and this has been happening. And as far as government is concerned, I think government is only a facilitator.
Yeah, exactly.
It cannot help without, it cannot help other than the policies. But as Mr. Raja has rightly said, if you see, it's the highest employer after agriculture. It's one of the highest export potential industry. We are stuck up at 5.5% market share, which is shameful for last so many years.
Right.
For such a country having all the resources, we are at 5.5%. So something is going wrong. So government also needs to create an infrastructure and particularly support the industry with such policies which are drawn with long-term in mind. Maybe next 10, 15, 20 years, don't tweak with the policies. The problem in India is that every year the policies are tweaked. So nobody wants to invest or make any commitment because nobody knows what will happen next year.
Right.
I think there has to be a blueprint for next maybe 2047. We are, making so many, government is making so many declarations. I think for industry, we have to have a blueprint for 2047. I always cite an example of automobile industry. Why it's successful globally. One of the reasons is all their associations work together. And when they are exporting outside India, they work as one.
Yeah.
Not as individuals. I think same thing has to happen with Indian industry.
Yeah, just
one more.
Please.
I want to raise one additional point to Gurudasji's statement. Actually, we have, particularly for the textile industry, we have 11 promotion councils in functioning. All the councils, as far as my understanding goes, it's all it's a lobbying. It is being used as a lobbying platform for a few individuals rather than for the growth of the industry segment as such. And it is a sort of a British legacy only. It's been still prevailing in the form of promotional councils, which has to be wiped out right now, and there has to be I mean, they have to bring out boards, functional boards in the happening centers.
Yeah.
Then whatever Gurudas ji has said, that collective information would be given in a common way, a common channel to the policymakers, because there also the body, I mean, the board directors also would be IAS officers. They are all directly linked to the policy making body. So all the nitty-gritty issues of the industry in a holistic manner would be captured, and it would be communicated to the policymakers, and then and there the solution could be made out. Now, actually, this 11 promotion councils has become so useless. So they are promoting individuals rather than the country's growth as such, industry growth as such.
Yeah, 2 points.
This might be
No,
allegation, but this
no,
is the
no,
fact.
it is fact. It is fact. Yes. In fact, 2 points. One thing is that all these the associations, they are working for each other. In spite of that, as Mr. Aras said, that we have not gone beyond 5.5% of our trade. Whereas China, about 3 decades back, they have stopped yarn exports and they have made only apparels, and they are now having going towards the brands. So this is the way it is going to happen. And if at all we don't look at that country, your country's interest first, then I think we will be missing the bus in spite of having a lot many opportunities. And as I said earlier, opportunities are coming to us. We are not creating opportunities ourselves. Now I would like to just bring in Mr. Juneja ji over here. We are talking about so many things, as far as India is concerned, we have built up satellites, we have gone on the moon, we have done so many remarkable things. Why not entire value chain of textile machines? This is what is the question which is very dear to me and maybe Mr. Aras also, because we are working on this for so many years, but we don't have our own weaving machines, good weaving machines. We don't have our own, state-of-the-art processing machines, not even garmenting machines. So what's happening with the machine industry as far as Indian textile machine industry is concerned? And number 2 is that the new policy is going to come from the safety regulation point of view for the machine manufacturers. So what are your takes on this?
I think, Avinash, you are right. We have approximately 25,000 crore rupees machinery market in India. And out of that, I think 15,000 crore rupees is import machines are coming. Okay. Yeah. So you can say 60% of the machines are imported machines are coming, all these things. And there are 2 concerns. Okay, why we could not make and all this. Okay, number 1 is technology. And number 2, because whatsoever we are going to manufacture, we are not able to keep the price in control.
Yeah.
Okay. Competent. Ultimately, we all are from the same industry. Price, product performance ratio has to work. Price has to be reasonable, and product has to work. So, but we are not able to. But definitely, I can say like that. Also, there is a lot of scope in this textile machinery market, where I am saying total market is 25,000 crore rupees, and we are 15,000 crore rupees imported machines. And whatsoever the machines we are making, we are able to feed only 30. We are able to make only 30% of our requirement in India. So much scope is there to this. But definitely, I will say in spinning, we are at par. Means a lot of machinery manufacturers are there in India who can manufacture the spinning machinery, and better than any global machinery manufacturers and all this thing. But in the last few years, we have definitely come up with some. You are 100% right. We could not make a shutterless loom or something like that. But in the last few years, definitely Indian textile machinery is working, but working very slow. We are able to manufacture some machine in processing industry as well as in the weaving industry also, which are accepted at the global level. Now at least we are moving toward that direction which you are saying, but it definitely there are a lot of joint efforts are required. From some policies are required from the government side also, where they can give some help, because initially earlier we were saying technology upgradation fund from the machine for the spinning industry or for the textile industry. And after that time, we were thinking, why no technological upgradation fund for the machinery industry? So there is it was not there, but definitely some incentive or some support from the government side is also required, because otherwise they are not able to meet with the cost. Because at this moment we need the machines which should be at the technology level of the European, but at the you can say price level, not at the totally Indian, at least between Europe and China.
Yeah.
Okay, so definitely it is required, but there is a lot of scope in the machinery and it is required. Otherwise, it's a big gap. And this is not now. Since so many years, we are saying 60% of our textile machinery is being imported in India. And we are good in spinning, but not in weaving or processing. But in the last few years, we are able to make in the some development in the weaving and the processing also, like that.
What about the safety norm regulations which are going to come now? What would be impact of that?
I think intention of the government is very good, because a lot of machines which was non-standard machines were coming to India. It is like that. So its intention is very good. Definitely by it is now initially it is I think only applicable for the embroidery and the weaving. Okay. Definitely there is no embroidery manufacturers in the India at this moment. Weaving manufacturers are there, and I think by August 2025 they have to implement this. They have to be registered. But definitely what I am saying, intention of the government is very good. All the machines should come with the standard standard norms and etc. But only concern is that how it will be implemented.
Yeah.
Definitely intention is good, but how it will be implemented or executed, that should be we have to see how it will be implemented.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Mahapatra, when we talk of chemicals, of course, textile is the most polluting country. You have chemicals, you have dyes. And then there are many norms which are getting imposed by European community as well as by most of the brands. So how chemical industry is reacting to this? You said that we are self-reliant, so we are manufacturing most of the chemicals here. So how things are being taken care, and what is the scenario as far as chemical industry of India is concerned?
Yes, so I think one part is the supply chain part. Although we are manufacturing most of our auxiliaries, specialty chemicals, dyes, pigments in the country, some of the key raw materials we still have import dependency. Like say basic silicone oils or oleochemicals, palm oil derivatives, which comes from Southeast Asia. So all these some specific raw materials we still have import dependency. Although the final formulation is happening on ground, so those are some dependency we still have. And then I think the advantage here for the local manufacturing is that close collaboration with the mills and your users. So that is the advantage of local manufacturing. That's how why this particular industry is not completely import dependent, because you need to work hand in hand with the mills, and the requirements are changing very fast. Unlike your capital investment, you invest and forget for 10-15 years. But in chemical space, it every season, every month, you need a different finish. Your substrate is changing, your product mix is changing, your color trend is changing. So you need to constantly work with the users. So it's not only the supply part, it's the technical service part which plays an important role. And now, so even for a completely European or say US based products or brands, whatever the norms they are putting up for the requirements, I think India is more or less complying with the requirements for quite some time, because we are servicing most of the brands, at least the premium brands from the country. So India is well equipped in terms of environmental compliance, but it's becoming stringent day by day. Like Gurdas ji mentioned that the CBMA is coming into force very soon, but initially that is more for the energy intensive sector like your cement or steel, iron, aluminium. So consumer goods is still not covered in that mechanism. But recently they have also come up with a new regulation for consumer goods product, and textile is part of it, which is the ESPR regulation, which is the eco design for sustainable products regulation. So that specifies, it's not only the product certification, what we are manufacturing or exporting to the European countries, but what will be the impact at the user level, at the consumer level, whether those products are repairable, you can repair those quickly, or does it have the recycled content into it? So there are whole sort of other requirement coming into play. So far, all certification was primarily related to the toxicity.
Yeah.
Whether you have banned substance, or you have, how the manufacturing environment is working. But end of life treatment was not part of the entire process. I think what is coming different from the current situation is the how it is going to impact at the user end, how the Europe and US at their places. I think so far they were bothered only, whether you are making, how you are manufacturing, and how the product is. So now I think these kind of things are coming into play. Another thing is the for the very high, brand, there were a trend of destroying the product, unsold inventory.
Okay.
So if it is not getting sold, you are completely, either incinerating or going into landfill. I think those kind of practices are also coming under radar. So I think as per European statistics, I think it even close to 9% of the goods which are being not sold to the final consumer. So these are going into landfill or incineration. So all those regulations are coming into place. So entire value chain is now going to be impacted. So you need to measure your footprint, validation to be done, whether it is biodegradable or not. You need to have certification whether the recycled content is there or not. And then the traceability part, the entire traceability, right from whether your raw material is coming from a region where human rights violation is happening, like in past you had that challenge with Uzbekistan or Myanmar, those kind of things. So traceability is another aspect of it. So sustainability, if you really bifurcate, there are multiple components to it, your product certification, manufacturing facility certification, and the entire supply chain, how you are transporting those chemicals, whether packaging, you can reduce the footprint, and chemical industry can play a very significant role into the whole process. I think if, there are good developments happening in the marketplace. At Pulcra, if I give some example, like say we have a particular product for the denim industry, because denim is another industry which is highly polluting at the mill level and also at the laundry level. You have a lot of colored discharge and a lot of, because this is not a fixed, indigo is not reacting with the cotton. So your leaching of dye stuff is very high. So almost 10-15%, even up to 20% dyes are going into the drain. So whether we can, restrict those colors at the manufacturing level. So we have a technology called Breviol DNV, which you apply at the dyeing stage, then your water consumption goes down by 30-40%. And then the entire process becomes very clean. If in the indigo process, if you see the dyeing and sizing is combined. So your size box is always blue. If you go to a denim plant, your sizing and even the subsequent finishing machinery, all rollers, everything is blue. But with this particular fixation, the entire process becomes very clean, and whatever discharge coming from your indigo dyeing machine will be almost like a crystal clear water. So indigo pickup is very high. Then bio-based products are coming into play. Pulcra as a group, 3 years back we acquired a company called Deban Chemical from Belgium, who is focusing only on bio-based chemistry. So almost 80-90% of the products are bio-based. So whether be it a antimicrobial finish, or be it a moisture management, or be it say temperature regulation chemistry, almost 70-90% of the feedstock is coming from bio-based source. So that way your effluent discharge will be much more, easy to treat, and your implication on the sludge and other things will be much more gentle. So those are some of the things coming into play, but I see a lot of opportunities for the sustainability part. Not only the industry has their own role to play, and government also need to play their own role. Like say everybody need not, MSME cannot put up their own solar plant or windmills. So if your grids become green, automatically your process becomes green.
Right.
Or can we really look at, instead of having a boiler, because we have a CETP, can we have a common boiler, so that we get
Yeah.
steam from as a service, so that you need not worry, or your implementation of that whether you are using clean fuel for your boiler or not, it's become a challenge for Delhi NCR. It's always a challenge whether your fuel is clean or not. So you need to only look at only few facilities. Your implementation become much easier. So if we get even steam as a service, so your CETP as a service, your steam as a service, so like that you can make the whole ecosystem much more cleaner. So I think that way everybody can play a role, and our textile manufacturing in entire value chain can be much more cleaner in coming days.
Great. Only thing is that you mentioned about landfill. I don't think that nowadays landfill disposal is allowed. So that may not be possible. Mr. Raja, he mentioned about two things where I just wanted to take something from you. One is the recyclability, rather the fibers which are recycled and brought into the matter, because Zara and H&M, they have already said that 25 to 30% of their products would be having recycled fibers, number one. And number two is the traceability. So is it possible with cotton to have traceability as far as Indian scenario is concerned? What is your take on this? Please unmute. Please unmute. You're on mute.
It is going to be the rule of the day because of the sustainability laws has been enacted in the Western markets. So we have to equip ourselves to adhere to the traceability and all those things. Already, the farmers have been enlightened to go for organic cultivation, and accordingly, the procurement is also has been happened, and it has been monitored in a multiple way to ensure the footprints of those carbon related things, and also this the organic related sourcing. So all it's been monitored, and only thing is that as I have told that this industry is dominated by micro and small industries more in numbers. Adhering to all these certification processes is an Herculean task, because everything need to be certified by a third party chosen third parties, and that charges are exorbitant, and based on the certification only the goods are being accepted in the markets. So these are going to be a very challenging task for the existence of these micro and small industries, and of course everyone has to equip it. But here, if a true government want to handhold the micro and small industries, they have to devise an exclusive policy, at least for a time being for 2 years or 3 years, to enabling them to get geared up to this standard, which has been sought for by the Western markets or global market all across.
Okay.
So this is the challenging thing where we can enlighten the government to come forward with an exclusive policy, devised policy to handhold for a certain number of years, not for good. Only for few years they have to provide the support and for certification and converting themselves into sustainable factory altogether. So then things will change and grow automatically.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I may add one point, Avinashji, one
Please,
good part from
please.
India is that our recycled polyester industry is really doing extremely well. So I think our bottle recycling is one of the highest in the world. So anything, even now people are digging out the bottles from the landfill and recycling, so our recycling of bottle is really high. Only thing is that how long it will be available for the textile value chain, that I have, my own doubts, because now packaging industry, soft drinks, everyone, they have their own EPR norms. So how long we will be able to feed those recycle plant for fiber could be a challenge, but for the next couple of years, it should not be a problem. And we are doing extremely well in that value chain.
Yeah, only thing is that I have red flag for that, because I don't think that bottles are the textile product. So you are bringing product from the other industry and then you are recycling it.
True.
Number two, it is not that eco-friendly, as all of us are aware. Number three, people have started using fresh water manufactured bottle for recycling, and then they are supplying it to textile industry. So
Yeah.
already Europeans are already on this job, and they may come out with the red flag and say that no, this is not allowed, you should not use this. The funniest part is that out of our recycled fibers, what we are using, almost 70 to 75% fibers are coming from the bottles, and that is a very great red light for all of us when we are talking of supplying material to Zara and H&M, all big brands who are saying that we want complete environment free products. Now,
yeah, so short term it is good, short term good, long term let's see how it,
yeah.
how it works.
Yeah. Now let's come to the third part, that is the budget part. So, Mr. Aras, what are your expectations from budget? We have seen that last year in budget there was a mention about the ATUFs, certain amount was kept, but I think there was no disbursement, neither there are any guidelines. So, what do you think that what are your expectations from budget of 2025?
I think last year's budget was a virtual whitewash, as if the textile industry doesn't exist. Because there's a long list of expectations from the industry, all constituents of industry, but there was not a single mention about anything. I hope this year, at least, there are a lot of things the government can do. There are a few things which I would like to mention, which are on top priority as far as our industry is concerned. First and foremost, as far as the exports of textile or garments is concerned, government extended the RODTP, that is the remission of duties and taxes on exported goods. That has really helped the exporters in covering some of the costs which are unnecessarily added because of state levies and all.
Yeah.
I think government should extend that further for at least 1.5 years till the our export becomes competitive. Otherwise, we become uncompetitive. Second one is that Europe and USA, I think sustainable manufacturing is the demand for next few years. But those who are doing investing in green manufacturing, they are not rewarded. I would say some kind of incentivization of the investments in sustainable manufacturing practices will give a lot of motivation to the people who invest in these things. Thirdly, as I have been repeatedly saying, and Mr. Raja also said that majority of our industry is in MSME. So there has to be some policy which will really help MSMEs to become cost competitive and their goods become exportable. Most important, according to me, is that the PLI scheme which has come was restricted earlier only for man-made fibers and technical textiles. So there were not many takers for this scheme. So it has really not succeeded. I think the PLI scheme need to be extended to garments with a threshold investment of not more than 15 crores, because there the benchmark was 100 crores and 300 crores.
Yeah.
Now the MSME is totally bucked opportunity. So I think this is one thing. Secondly, as far as technical textile industry is concerned, it is really on a growth path. But the biggest problem they are facing are non-availability of the performance fibers or technical fibers, because they are not made in India, and there are high import duties on this. So actually, even active wear, sportswear, some of the specialized fibers, if they can be imported under concessional duty, I think this will really give an opportunity for very high value addition, and India can be part of the competition, global competition. We are totally missing this market today. So because we are cotton focused, now we can enter some of these, winter wears, active wears, export markets in the world. Thirdly, government has imposed 11% import duty on cotton. Now, the biggest setback was for the superfine, products. Now, because of this, our raw material cost has gone up considerably, especially for the high value fabrics manufacturing. We need cottons like Supima and Giza. And if they are not made available at competitive prices, I think India will totally miss the high value segment.
Right.
So this is one thing I think we should really look for, and complete removal of 11% import duty. I think the industry is requesting for a long time that remove this duty, and so that we can take advantage of it. And last but not the least, if the income tax rates, personal income tax rates are reduced, I think people will have extra money in hand to spend on textiles. So it will indirectly help us also.
Yeah, great. Mr. Juneja, what is your take on budget? What are your expectations?
I think Mr. Aras has covered all for the textile industry. Number one, definitely textile machinery. If Mr. Raja industry will improve, then only our machine industry will improve. So, okay. So definitely we are totally Mr. Raja industry or total textile industry, we are dependent on the export market only. And
Yeah,
export market will improve if all the global situation will improve or something like that, all these things. But definitely there is a big hope for that also. I think maybe we will improve. Uh, what Mr. Aras said, I will just add that also. Definitely, Mr. Raja said textile industry has to remain. Kapda is that cloth has a essential requirement.
basic.
It
Yeah,
has to be there, and it is a good mean we can say with the less investment we can create a more job. Textile industry is the industry where with the less investment we can create a more job as compared to the other industry. So
yeah,
like that also, but definitely as earlier I mentioned, the textile machinery market for India is 25,000 crore, where we are importing 50,000 crore. It means definitely there is a big scope for the substitute of the imported machines.
right.
So here the handholding from the authority or from the is required. Just like I think last time they have given some grant to develop the this shuttleless looms,
Yeah,
etc. Definitely machinery has come.
yeah,
Something has come. I think for such thing that some initial push is required from the government to get the alternate of the substitute machinery, so
yeah,
that it can be used all these things. Rest I think Mr. Aras has covered all the point. So
yeah.
like that also. But there is definitely there is a scope in the machinery market for the indigenous and to get the substitute of the imported machines. But
Okay.
definitely we have to do now whatsoever the machine has to come. It should be high technology, not only low standard or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Raja, what are your expectations from the budget?
No, actually, as it has been quoted by Gurudas ji, that last year it was a whitewash, and this year also it might get repeated. That is the belief, as far as the textile industry segment is concerned, because lot many request is been put forth, but heard of or considered so far. Because as I told, that this industry need to be given an special attention, because this is a job growing industry, which a populous nation like India has to give much more thrust, because it has been this opportunity has been grabbed by tiny nations like Bangladesh, Vietnam. Why not we? So
Yeah,
this they have to find a answer for this question, and if that has been done, definitely the in the coming budget, this would the textile industry would be accommodated with much care, and accordingly, the new policy framework would be devised to grow this industry at the earliest.
yeah,
So my wish is that the coming budget has to accommodate this industry in a holistic manner, wiping out the, as I told, that the legacies, left out legacies of the Britishers has to be wiped out thoroughly, and performing platforms need to be created to grow this industry. And for that, I have suggested many a time to the government of India that you create a knitwear board in Tirupur, functional in Tirupur, home textile board functional in Karur, textile board functional in Hitchel Karanji or in Mumbai, and carpet board to be functional either at Uttar Pradesh or at Kashmir. So likewise, the functional boards has to be anchored at happening centers rather
yeah,
than keeping it in remote place and making it to be operated by the chosen few players who are lobbying for themselves only, not for the country. So
yeah,
this
yeah,
clear understanding has to happen, and then automatically a prior importance would be given in the budget.
yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. Mr. Mahapatra, what are your expectations
I think
from the
for
chemical industry?
textile chemical industry anyhow is never, I think, part of the any policy formulation. So my wish will be at least as an important player, because unless dyes and chemicals are there, textiles are not sellable. So
Right.
so we need to look at this industry as well, and where we have very good self-sufficiency. So we need to nurture it further so that we can also have export potential from India. So some policy towards supporting this industry will be good. For example, maybe we can think of setting up a center of excellence for textile chemical. There are a lot of innovation can happen. We have so much center of excellence across the country for various product categories or application categories. So we can consider center of excellence for specialty chemical, textile chemical. That can help. Also, I think the water is a big input, and we are all talking about the pollution. So can we really modernize STP and CETP and invite more private player into that domain, so that you have real good functioning of the CATP. So it's not only for the sake of having CATP, but it is operated in true spirit. So I think STP, and which can give a treated water to the industry, so you are not using any blue water, so your overall environmental score will be high for the country and also to the industry. And whatever the mill is processing, you really using it for the CETP in a true spirit, so that there is no need for ZLD, which is high energy intensive and also a high cost towards every cubic meter of treatment, which is making many industry unviable. So ZLD is not really the good solution, unless if we have a STP water feed into the mills and you are treating it rightly through the CETPs. I think if we do these two things, I think the textile chemical industry will be benefited out of the whole process.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Juneja ji, what's happening as far as innovations
I think,
in
sorry to interrupt, gentlemen. I think we are already overshooting.
Okay.
So I think it will be great if we can just have, few questions which are left on.
Please. Okay.
And, then we can take few questions from the audience. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, last part is the outlook. So future outlook for textile industry. So Mr. Aras, what is your take on this? What do you think that where would be the future?
Niti Aayog has already accepted that the China one policy, India has missed the bus. But I am quite hopeful about Bangladesh plus one. There are a lot of reasons. See, first and foremost, you should not, depend on somebody else's weakness and grow. I think you should build your own strengths. Then only it can sustain for a longer time. I personally believe that the Indian industry is at inflection point right now. Because Bangladesh is just one opportunity. But apart from that, if you see US market particularly, there is an absolute normalization of April China inventory there. And the last 2 to 3 months data shows that the consumer spending has also started increasing. As all of you know that because of Trump's victory, I think the tariff on China is going to go up. And it is already declared the US plan is to replace 70% of Chinese imports of textiles from Bangladesh, Vietnam, India, and Cambodia. Now, how India plays its cards is in our hands. But I am particularly quite hopeful because, Vietnam, according to me, has picked out now as far as capacities are concerned. India is slowly getting into man-made fibers and blends because of PLI. We are slowly increasing the capacities in garments also. So we are actually preparing for a long-term jump, according to me. Second big opportunity which is going to come in this year is the free trade agreement with UK.
Yeah.
The news has already come that the discussions have already restarted after the new government in UK has come. I also heard from some of the manufacturers that some UK importers have already started asking for samples to prepare for the FTA. Now, this is a very good news. EU FTA might not happen. Bangladesh, I think many of you must be aware that Bangladesh is going to lose poor nation status in the year 2027.
Yeah.
So all the tariff advantages which they're getting right now to the extent of 18 to 22% are going to go after 2027. Are we prepared? I think we'll have to prepare very strongly to take the share from Bangladesh. Today, the export of Bangladesh of garments ready-made garments is about 45 to 50 billion, if I'm not wrong. And India's export of ready-made garments is about 16 to 18 billion. Even if you are able to take 10% of Bangladesh share, it's another $5 billion opportunity. And according to me, it's a huge, huge opportunity. So we'll have to really build capacities which we are lacking today. We have to build infrastructure. We have to work on cost competitiveness, which I think is a big challenge. And last but not the least, I think we have to prepare for sustainability challenge, because all the buyers are very particular about human rights violation, child labor, environment abuse. I think I'm very happy that the industry, some of the industry players are already prepared it. Uh, Even I know some of the one of the big player is ranked third in ESG compliance. So I think Indian industry is realizing the challenges in future. So according to me, instead of depending on the developments around us giving us opportunity and our missing it many of the times, we have to have internal strength to such an extent that we should grab this opportunity on our own strength. Then only I think we can sustain for longer time. And I personally believe 2025 should be an inflection year for Indian textile and garment manufacturers.
Perfect, perfect. Mr. Raja, would you like to add something as far as outlook is concerned?
Have a different view on the FTA because as rightly Gurudas ji has pointed, we have to develop our own strength rather than working on others' weakness. And here actually the FTA, by signing FTA alone would not fix the business for good, because the thing is, the danger attached to it is that if we sign an FTA, of course it would be beneficial for the importer. But what would happen on the other side is, if they are buying 10,000 pieces, for example, from one manufacturer, they will order for 1 lakh pieces. So the 10,000 pieces would be priced for $2 means, if they order for 1 lakh piece, they ask for 1.75 or 1.7 dollars. So the cost cut is going to be, because by showing the volume, it is going to be happened. But unfortunately, the performing clusters like Tirupur, Calcutta, wherever, Ludhiana, wherever it is, there is no supportive infrastructure got developed. So thereby, though we have a large number of workforce spread across the country, we cannot rope in for good to make use of this opportunity as a beneficial one. So these things need to be pre-worked rather before signing of FTAs. That's my wish to happen.
Yeah, thank you. I think because of the time limit, we will just take some questions. There is one question from Sanskriti Rama, and she has asked, what role would be India's technical textile sector play in driving the industry growth in 2025? In fact, as we have not covered technical textile because we are not having speaker related to that, but still I would say that the technical textile sector is growing in double digits. And when it comes to developing country like us, we will be consuming more technical textiles. You can see their consumption almost across entire India in various forms and various applications. And that is, as I said, that it is growing in double digits. So it will be one of the major, player as far as taking the consumption of the technical textile is concerned. And that will give complete increase of the consumption of fibers as well as various technological fabrics which would be produced over there. Any other question? I think they can directly at the
Mr. Michael, can I add something to this?
Please.
Yeah, see, as far as technical textile is concerned, is another sunrise industry, because India imports a lot of technical textiles. Now, interestingly, if you see, apart from our growth in manufacturing as well as exports, a lot of European manufacturers have shown interest to start manufacturing in India. And some of them have already come in last 2 to 3 years here with joint ventures. Now, I personally believe this trend will continue, because where will the manufacturing go? It will go to the consumption market, consuming market. And in Europe, it's becoming expensive to manufacture. So many of these manufacturing ventures will shift to India, in my opinion. And technical textile is one industry, I think, which will grow much, much faster than the commodity textile industry.
Yeah, and already automotive industry has already come here. Most of the automotive parts are getting manufactured here. So that is one of the big industry which is coming, which has already come to India. Anybody having questions, they can directly ask questions to the panelist. Mr. Rakesh, are you getting some questions? Yeah.
Yeah, anybody?
Yeah,
Okay,
there is one question.
I think it has already been answered by Mr. Raja, that why we should have boards
Yeah.
when we already have association and council. That is there on the chat box. Okay, one question from me is,
Regarding
duties.
the associations,
Yeah.
associations have a limitation within the cluster or within the place only, because it won't be taken for granted by the policy makers, whatever the viewpoints given by associations. So
Right.
instead, if a board is being placed, then automatically its common view would be taken as it is taken as a granted, and accordingly it would be worked out.
So one question from me is, when income in terms of budget, duties and taxes, like already mentioned, different segment of the industries have different expectations when it comes to duties and taxes. So one option is have a consistency in it. Let it be for the next 5 years, remain as it is. Would that be something which will be acceptable for the industry from the government? Whether high, low, whatever it is, let it be consistent for next 5 years.
See, Mr. Rao, I already mentioned in one of the questions while answering that one issue we have is our policies get changed every year. And therefore, the investors are very much skeptical about investing. So there has to be freeze on policies for at least minimum 5 years. So a lot of foreign investment will also come because they are always scared that, today there is one tax application, next year it will be different. So the basis of calculation of investment goes for a toss. So there has to be a policy stability for a longer period, then only people will come here.
Absolutely, because if you see any industry that we are into, where we have a raw material advantage, unfortunately, we are exporting more of raw material and less of the finished goods. You take minerals, metals, everything, even cotton, we export more cotton than the finished goods. Because I don't know the reasons for it, but this is the fact across the industry, not just textile industry. Probably the tax structures are such way that you encourage export of raw material, and obviously then the same raw material gets finished, treated and gets imported back as finished goods in India. So that is my one of the, because we have been very strong in cotton, while the world has moved to man-made fibers, but that's an advantage which we can use to make value-added, high-value products and export, rather than making a low-value-added product from cotton. That's one thing that I
Yeah.
would, like to look into.
Yeah. In fact, I can I would like to answer this, because when I go as a consultant and tell my customers, that you should put up a value added things than only going for spinning. Even if I talk of project which is 25-30 crores, they would say, no, it is not that easy to, market that much of the finished goods, which are of course technical textiles. But if I tell them that, okay, then you can go for spinning project, but it is very costly. It would be cost you about 80 crores, 90 crores. They say, okay, fine, I can go for it. Why? Because they don't want to have risk of marketing. Whereas being commodity, yarn can be sold anywhere. Either it will be get sold at 100 rupees or 99 rupees or 98 rupees, but it will get sold. So as such, we are not market-driven textile industry, and that's where is the lacking point over here. That we are happy with whatever we are doing for many years. Now, when we are talking of 5.5% of trade, and if at all we convert all that yarn what we are manufacturing into garments, it will go in multifolds. But this point is not been taken because marketing of garment is very difficult. handling of people is very difficult. So whatever is easy, they would like to invest in high investment and low profits, but still they are going for it. That's where is the mindset of Indians which has become right now. That's why we are happy to have export of yarn but not of garments.
But I think that given the internet and a lot of direct to consumer, marketing website and companies are coming into. Don't you think it's a high time that the companies think in that line?
They have to think. They have to think. In fact, that's what is my point, is that why not? Because we can do so many other things in other industries, but then why textile industry is struggling? Even for the machines, we are not able to produce, good weaving shuttleless loom. So these are the things which needs to be taken up very seriously. And all the time we were discussing about, even there are questions about, in associations and the various lobbies which are happening. They are not thinking from the Indian perspective. They are thinking only from the self-centered approach, and that is not going to help us. That's what government should think of. In fact, one more point which is lacking, according to me as a consultant, is that we don't have a textile policy which is frozen for years. As everybody was talking of 5-year plan, 10-year plan, each and every country has to have its country strategy, what we call it. And accordingly, they should move into that particular direction. But here, things are not happening. In fact, that's why even if it is budgeted, but the budget is not being disbursed. Such things should not happen when it is budgeted, because many of my customers are waiting, when the TUP scheme would be revived, when we will get the budget. The projects are already planned, but they cannot come into force because there is no support, which has been already, claimed.
I think we can close for the day, and Mr. Maikar would like to sum it up the discussion that we had for today.
Yeah. Thank you, ITJ, for giving me this opportunity to moderate things. Of course, all speakers have done remarkably well. They have already talked so many things. I think in nutshell, what I would say is that we should not, have fiber or our spinning industry or weaving industry as a discipline should not be think of one core sector or one, even for that matter, geological. I am from Bilwara, or I am from Isalkaranji, or I am from Tirupur. We need to have a complete nation one approach. We need to have best technology. We should take care of the environment, because environment will drive the world. And if at all you are not taking care of the environment, you will not be in business. There cannot be short-term policy. It has to be on long-term policy. We need to set our goals. That's why I said that what China has done 30 years back, we have still not done it. They stopped yarn export, and then they started value addition only, and then they started garments. When they started this, they were having about 5 to 6% of market share, and now they are 35 plus market share. This shows that how such type of decisions can help. And we have a lot many strategic advisors. We have a lot many potential. We have people like Mr. Raja, who are having their own industry. They are doing remarkably well. Tirupur is the very good, you can say, trendsetter as far as export earnings are concerned. Why we cannot do everything as a country? And if at all we do that, then sky is the limit for us. We should not be happy with 5.5% trade, what we are doing now. How we can grow in each and every sector, even the technical textile, which is growing with rapid speed, how we can approach for that. Investments are happening, but they are happening only in conventional textiles and not in much value added products. So if we do that, then home textiles have already set up the, very good roadmap for us, that they are having very good market share. Knitting industry has done remarkably well. Why not the other sectors? So I think if at all the collective efforts are there, then even government as a facilitator, they will always help us for all our initiatives. And I think that's the way we can grow. Of course, we are positive. We know that Indians have, a very good habit of, when they are struggling quite a lot, they do remarkably well. We have done that in case of medical textiles during COVID. And I'm sure that in all sectors of textile industry, we will do that. With that, I would like to thank you. And I would like to give it this to Mr. Rakesh Rao.
So with this, we come to an end for this exciting panel discussion. I would like to thank all our panelists and Mr. Maikar for moderating this session on such an important topic and for such an important industry that textile it is. It gives me an immense pleasure to have all the speakers for today's discussion, and also thanks to all the participants who joined us to listen to this discussions. And we will look forward to your participation in forthcoming ITJ webinar. With this, before we conclude, I would wish all the participants and the speakers a very happy new year in advance. Let 2025 be a great, prosperous, and healthy new year for all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you.
Same
Thank
to you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you all.